Hi there, I'm Clifford Bates, and welcome once again to reading Aristotle's Nicomachean Ethics. We're continuing on book 7, which deals with the question of self-restraint and lack of self-restraint, akrasia, question of akrasia and enkratia. We are today looking at chapter 10 of it, which deals with the question of prudence in its relation to this. The same person who does not admit of being at the same time both prudent and lacking self-restraint. So you can't be prudent and lack self-restraint. For it was shown that in regard his character, a prudent person is at the same time serious as well. Again, this is you see the passages here that he says about this. This is Budaios as well. In other words, he's serious in that sense. He knows what he's doing. A serious, brilliant person knows what he does. He does what he knows. In other words, it accomplishes it. So he cannot be prudent and lacking self-restraint, akrasia. Further, a person is prudent not only by the dint of what he knows, but also because he's skilled in action. So therefore, it's not and the prudence is not ability of knowing; it is both knowing and acting. It's a knowing that is done in acting, okay, in action. It's not a knowing as knowing. It is not merely correct calculation. It is making the correct. It's picking the correct action, knowing and choosing the correct action, and while in action, in that sense. And, um, but also skilled. He is skilled in action, right? Praxis. But the person lacking self-restraint is not skilled in action. Okay, yet nothing prevents the clever person from lacking self-restraint. So in other words, I can be clever. This is the passage. This is that thing. Hence, there are times when some people are even held to be prudent while lacking self-restraint, because cleverness differs from prudence in the manner stated in the first argument. We'll go back all the way back in that sense earlier. And though they are close to one another in reference to their respective definitions, they do differ when it comes to the choice each makes. In other words, the clever, he talked about clever as knowing what is the right thing to do, But the prudent person is not only, but remember, the clever is not only knowing what is right, but also knowing what, it's like achieving the end and mean, getting the right means to the end. But maybe the end in question is not a just end, it may be a bad end, right? So a clever person, bad people are clever. A prudent person is, in other words, prudence is always aimed at what is right. It is aims at what, because it's a virtue in that sense. It's not. It aims at what is noble and good, not what is base. So you can, if a person is a bad person, a tyrant cannot be prudent. He may be clever. He may know how to get what he chooses. He might choose certain things, and the things he chooses are wrong. They're not noble. They are or not good, not noble, not beautiful. He might choose the base things, not the good things, not the beautiful things, but the base things. But he does know how to get them correctly. Okay, that's the clever in a sense. Well, here's the problem with the clever. Might know the correct. You might know. See this, but this is another way of clever. This kind of clever that he's talking about here is the situation of, I know what the right answer is. I know what must be done, but I myself don't have the ability to do it. I'm not. In other words, I may not be skilled in action. In other words, the prudent person must not only know what is correct, but does it. Okay. The clever person knows what is done, but doesn't do it for some reason. Either he chooses what is wrong, ignoble, on base. He doesn't choose the good, or he chooses the right thing, but he knows how to choose the right thing. He knows what is to be done. He knows what is to be done, but he's not necessarily able to do it himself because he may lack self-restraint. This is where this comes in, right? Nothing prevents the clever person from lacking self-restraint here. So the prudent person cannot lack self-restraint, but the clever person can. And so the person lacking self-restraint does not resemble someone who knows and contemplates something, but resembles rather someone who is asleep or drunk. In other words, in that sense, this metaphor is even more interesting in that sense. A person lacking self-restraint is one who does not know something and contemplate, but rather is someone sleeping or drunk. It doesn't accidentally in that sense, right? He doesn't do like though he acts voluntarily. For in a certain manner, he knows both what he's doing and for the sake of what he's doing. He is not wicked. His choice is decent, such that he is only half wicked. Because why? In other words, he lets us. In other words, he acts voluntarily in this sense. The person lacking self-restraint is in this sense he knows what he's doing. He's making the right choice. He knows what he's doing, and for the sake he does it for. He's not wicked. His choice is decent, but he just doesn't do it because he succumbs to passion. Right. He is also not unjust, for he does not. He is not a plotter. One sort of person lacking self-restraint is not apt to abide by the result of his deliberation. So, okay, he's not a plotter. So one sort of person lacking self-restraint is not able to abide by the result of his deliberation, while another, a melancholic sort, is not even apt to deliberate at all. So there's two types. There's the one is that he can't abide by it. He cannot execute it what he did, versus he's not able to even deliberate at all. So the person lacking self-restraint is like a city that votes for all that it ought to vote for, and has serious laws, yet it makes use of none of them, as Anaxandrius raids rides joked. The city wished to. The ones that cares. The city wished to. The one that cares for none of its laws. So this is 46. And it's actually from Rose, was but a resident of Athens and was a 4th century comic poet. Of whose work only 41 titles and some 80 citations survives. Very little survives. The titles survive, but and some 80 citations survive. But okay, that's what little of this. He's a comic poet, 4th century comic poet from Rhodes, but lives in Athens, right? That he's like the jokes about this and reads that the city it knows it votes for it. It has serious laws, but makes none of use of them. It doesn't care because the city wished to, but no one that cares. The ones that care for none of its laws. Right? This is weird. But the wicked person is like a city that makes use of the laws, though the laws it uses are wicked. So the self-restraint city chooses the right laws, but doesn't execute the laws. It doesn't execute the laws. It has serious laws. It chooses the right laws, but it doesn't execute them, doesn't fulfill them. Whereas the other one, it executes the laws. The wicked person is like the city that makes use of it executes the laws, but the laws are wicked laws, right? The laws it uses are wicked. Lack of self-restraint and the self-restraint are concerned with what goes beyond the characteristic typical of the many. Now, this is in excess, as translated in excess, okay, goes beyond or in excess. The lack of self-restraint and the self-restraint are concerned with what goes beyond the character typical of the many. For the self-restrained person abides by his deliberation more. The person lacking self-restraints less than is capable. That is in the capability of most people. So therefore, again, this is the most persons, the average person. The self-restraint is what? Is able to restrict, in other words, he is able to hold on and resist more than the average person. Whereas the lacking self-restraint is the person who gives in easier than the average person, right? This is that characteristic, lacking self-restraint. Therefore, the many is that median point. Therefore, the self-restraint is resists greater than what the many does. And the one who lacks self-restraint is who fails to resist as much as the typical person should resist, okay? In that sense, with capability of most people. And among those who lack self-restraint, that of the melancholic types is easily the melancholic type is the person who's just like down like this, that they're the melancholy. In other words, they just don't have they just negative attitude. The melancholy, right? This melancholic type is more readily curable than the lack of self-restraint of those who deliberate but do not abide by their deliberation. So therefore, the melancholic types are more curable than the ones who, because remember, the melancholy is it is a imbalance about the pleasures and the goods, right? But this person who simply enjoys the one who deliberates but does not abide by deliberation, and those lacking self-restraint as a result of habit are more curable than those who are by nature. So habit is more curable by nature. The melancholic is and of the nature, the melancholic versus those who simply who simply just don't simply who don't abide by their decision. Okay, this is this is the melancholic is better than the one who simply doesn't abide by it, right? But the one who is lacking self-restraint because of bad habit is more curable than that who is because of their nature, right? For a habit is easier to change than nature. It is for this reason that habit too is difficult to change, because it is like nature, even as Evenus has well said. I assert that it is a practice of long duration, friend, and so in the end, this is nature. This is nature for human beings. Evenus is hailed from Paros and was active as a sophist and a poet in the 5th century. Plato mentions him in the Apology of Socrates, Phaedrus and Phaedo. Evenus seems to argue that habit, in other words, Evenus makes a stronger argument. Aristotle differentiates between habit and nature. Okay, nature is what is innate in us, in our biology, in our genetics, and our things like this. Habit is our external behaviors that have been shaped on us, and it's these two, and it's said to be a second nature in that sense. Evenus seems to argue that, well, in most reality, that I assert that it is a practice of long duration. Habit is a friend, and in the end, this is nature for human beings. The habit is really nature. There's no differentiation for Evenus in that sense. But Aristotle seems to want to say it differs. So therefore, habit is changeable in this way. You can correct habit. It's difficult to. It's not easy. It may not be easy to do this. I mean, habit is something that is long duration. Habit for this reason that habit is is difficult to change. Because why? It's because habit is of long duration. Okay, so now he ends this chapter with this paragraph, this paragraph here. What is self-evident then, and what lack of self-restraint, and what lack of self-restraint, what steadfastness and what softness, and how these characteristics relate to one another has been stated. So he seems to wrap up. Right now, he at this point, he seems to wrap up his saying the question of what self-restraint is, what's lack of self-restraint is, what steadfastness and softness are, how these characteristics relate to one another in that sense. So he ends up. He seems to conclude his analysis. Okay, this leads us, and the next thing we're looking at chapter 11, which we get to some questions of pleasures and pains. Okay, we'll do this. So why don't we end the paragraph here? Why doesn't this chapter end here? Why does it end? He continues, and he has here we have 4 more chapters to go through in that sense. So let's stop here. Let's go look at this in that sense. Let's go stop here and we'll do this. So if you have any questions or comments here, please put them below, and when I see them, I'll respond to them. I'll respond to them and answer, give you an answer, or see something, or maybe even direct any questions you may have about this chapter. If you have any issues about this chapter, please put them there, and I'll see them. Things you want to maybe I didn't discuss, and you wish I did discuss further and go into more depth on, I will respond to you. If you've liked it, hit the like button. Hit the like button, please. It helps the channel grow. It helps it. If you like it, is also share it. Share it on your social media. Share it to your friends. Spread it far. Share it far and wide. Again, all this helps the algorithm in that sense. That helps things grow. If you've not subscribed, please consider subscribing. Please introduce the channel to friends that you think that might be interested in not only the Aristotle, but other issues, topics, and books that we cover here. The other thing another aspect of this is that if you didn't like what I did, you had a problem with it, you can always say thumbs down, but say why in the comments. This way we can learn, we can benefit from it. All can benefit from it. Not me, but maybe someone else watching this would benefit from it. If you want to follow me more on social media and see what I do on social media, please hit the links below, and you can follow me on social media and those links. If you want to know more about me as a scholar and see my research and check things out, you can see my academic social media links below that. If you want to help me to do what I do, you can do so through Subscribestar and Patreon. The links are below. Another way you can do so is buying one of my books that are currently available. Those are listed below. You can order it through the local bookstore or through your online bookstores like Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and things like that. Or you can order it from the publisher. And that's it. We will see you next time when we look at chapter 11. Take care and have a good day. Bye-bye.